Hey, this is Kineer, and I just got done with a 30 plus hour live stream playthrough of the new Dune Awakening in the open beta weekend from May 9th to the 12th. I think the servers are just about to shut down in about half an hour. I'm not sure on the timing exactly. However, I did want to stop and share my thoughts on the game, having played through it. I have played through 40%, or at least it shows me 40% completion in the Hagga Basin South, and 50 and 60% in the northern two regions, the western and eastern Vermillius regions that they gave us access to as well. I have actually visited all of the POIs that have intel. I've collected all of that intel. I have gone through all of the caves that I could find in the area as well. I've done all the PvP ship sites, or the large ship sites, as well as all the underground Imperial Testing Stations. So I've actually kind of gotten close to completing everything that was available to us, even though the percentages don't seem to show up any higher than 50-60% in those regions. Not really sure what that is, but I have visited most of those sites. There's probably a fair number of the small just two-person sites that are on the sides of hills and things like that that I haven't touched. That's probably what it is. So I've done this fairly completely. I've built everything you can build. I've unlocked every one of the research items that are available during the beta, and I've built at least one of them. I put together the sand bikes. I've been running the Mark II sand bike for the entire time. I've tried all the options on it. I have put the seat on the back of it, helped somebody out, formed a party, did some co-op play, things like that. And I've built myself a base here as well. So I mean, I can show you a little bit about the base without getting into too much detail. A lot of this is in the live stream, so there's a lot of content about this, a lot of walking around. You can see the progression of the base. I went through literally last night and just converted it from one type of material to another, and it was pretty easy. So at this point in time, the base is, if it was going to be in the real game and continue on, this would be a good place that, I would be happy and comfortable using going forward. So we are currently in Eastern Vermillius Gap. And I'm looking at this game from the perspective that I do most all the games. I break it up into three major categories. One is going to be story and world building. One is going to be mechanics and game loop, those aspects of the intention of the developers, what they were building and how it was supposed to work. And then the last one is technical and artistic execution of the game. That's like, how did they bring it to us, and did they do a good job? Did they put the artwork and the sound and the music and all that stuff? Was that good? And then were there bugs in the game? So they may have intended to do it one way in the game mechanic and design side, but they may have had bugs and things like that. And I give each of those primary categories 3 potential points, 3 out of 3 points, right? Up to 3 points. And then I keep 1 point for myself as kind of a Kineer, a bias point. Like, I'm biased. I may like some games, I may not like some games. Sometimes I look at the 3 pieces and I think when they're brought together, they're better than the individual pieces are. So my take on this right now is first and foremost, this is beta. They've only given us a portion of the game. These are 3 zones at one part of the map called Hagga Basin. If you move the mouse around the area, you can actually see in this area there are multiple zones up here: Hagga Rift, Jabal Afrit Al Janub, the Eastern Shield Wall, the Udum, the Western Shield Wall, Isa Taril, and then Shield. And so there's actually quite a bit more in what I'm just going to call Hagga Basin that's out here, and we have only had access to these areas right here. And so, I've done as much as you can do through here. The exception is I couldn't go into this radioactive area. I think that was it. And, pretty much everything else, I was in and did. I couldn't get to the top of the flat top rock over here. I tried to climb up there, but I couldn't find a way to climb up, at least not, without dragging out the process. So I gave it a good try. I did get to the top of, the Hammerhead Rock, that kind of thing. So in any case, I look at the story in the world, and out of a potential 3 points, I'm going to give it a 2.5. One is the game's incomplete, but I did know what I was doing, why I'm doing it. I understand the protagonist, all the kind of core storytelling elements that should be there if you were writing a book or a movie or anything like that. I think that's all there, right? So there's no confusion here. You didn't show up and be like, I don't know why I'm supposed to be doing any of this stuff. So that part of the story is good. The Dune universe is rock solid. It's well established. It is proven intellectual property. It's good stories. I will say that they did fork the story. This is an alternate timeline, which means they took a very notable event and they decided to go in a different direction, and they wiped out an entire character that was kind of central to the book itself, and the movies as well. So there's a little bit of that where they're going in a different direction, and quite frankly, in my opinion, I'm not clear why that is. Maybe they'll wrap that all up and it'll make a lot of sense, and I'll later on say, well, that was well worth it. But for right now, I take a little bit off for that. So at best, as a beta, this is a 2.5 out of 3. On the mechanics and game loop, I'm just going to say that the crafting in this game is, I think it's incredible. I think it's really well done in many ways. It is not as perfectly polished as it could be, but I'm not complaining. There's things that you could craft that they don't include in here. But the idea that you can, continue to, you can build your 3D fabricator here, and, this whole system works really well. You can see the the items that you need in order to create something. You can schedule things and walk away. All good. And there's an entire system over the top of it that lets you decide who can access it. Small chemical refinery makes sense, an ore refiner, a repair station, and there's more available. So I think the crafting in this is really solid. And if you like crafting games and survival games where you start with nothing and you gather materials and you build basic gear and you keep upgrading, and then you go out and you do more quests. I wouldn't call them all quests, but you go out and you pursue more endpoints and do more content and things like that, and you get better and better gear. The game loop on that is I think it's pretty solid, right? I don't have any complaints with it. The quality of life stuff they put in here is fantastic. The fact that you can craft from the chests, that you're not playing this dumb inventory game where you're like, oh, I have to go pick up the items from the chest, put it in my inventory, walk to the crafting thing, have them all together, means they respect your time, I think, to a certain extent. That there's other things to do in the game with your time other than playing with the inventory. Now, you still have to play with the inventory. You still have small boxes and medium boxes, and I assume they'll get bigger and bigger. That happens. The building in the game, having recently done some playthroughs from other survival games, and I've played thousands of hours of other survival games with building in it, I think the building's great. I think they look great. They fit together. You get to pick the walls and roof and all this other stuff. You can mix and match things. They snap things together pretty well. I don't see a lot of kind of janky edges and weird problems like that. So building is solid. Survival and crafting is solid. Absolutely great. Now, again, it's a beta, and I think we've seen maybe 10% of the game. I don't know, maybe 25% of the game. I don't know what it is, but I wouldn't say that the game at this point in time, with the crafting, with some of the things that are gated, I can get a full picture of it, and I wouldn't go higher than a 2.5 on this one either. I think once we see the whole game end to end, all the materials, what you can, what the end state is, what you can build, and how they all come together, this thing could inch its way up a little further. But for a beta, for where it's at right now, I'm comfortable with a 2.5 out of 3. I toyed with knocking it down a little lower, but I think they've done such a good job on things like the the building and the mechanics of how you actually bring materials together. The mining with the cutter A is it's pretty cool. Like it feels good after a while, and you get used to it, and it's kind of a neat visual effect. On the art and technical delivery side, I was initially very complimentary of the visuals. I think are fantastic. This may not be the most beautiful place. It's a desert, which is a hard thing to put in here and make it look interesting, but I think they've done a really great job. The art is great. The music is really good, high-end music. I mean, I think it's well produced and well performed. The only thing I will say is that I did notice at times, and this kind of falls into the bug side of it, is that the music cuts out and the sound cuts out sometimes in the game. So like you'll be crafting something and then suddenly like the sound of the machinery just goes away. And that's because some music has cut in. And the music doesn't always cut in at times that I think are as predictable or explainable. So it feels like sometimes music will cut in and there's nothing, it's hard to tell what's going on at that point in time. So I think there's some timing and sequencing there where they're overlapping and they're trying to decide, okay, well, what sound do we continue to have in there, and can that sound continue to play while this one's happening, and things are getting shut off. So I consider that both a bug and kind of a technical delivery, but the sounds themselves are great. I love the sounds of the weapons. I love the sounds of the shields, of driving through the shields. There's a lot of things they've carried forward from the movies and the other intellectual property, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. So that's kind of the alignment with events and a timing issue. The visuals, like I said, the visuals are fantastic. From a bug perspective, I didn't find a lot of bugs in the game. They've done something pretty fantastic in making everything climbable. And the bug I see associated with that is that sometimes when you're climbing, you don't feel like you're really connected to the surface that you're climbing on, like you know you are. Like the Shigga wire or claw, whatever they call it, the grappling hook, is a lot of fun, and it's enjoyable. Like I really like it. That combined with a suspensor belt is just a blast. Just climbing up the rock faces, I love the fact that you can do it. I could turn around and I could climb right up this building right behind me. But there are some weird things that happen here. I hesitate to even do it. So like if I wanted to get off this, dropping versus dropping back, sometimes when you're on a sheer cliff, you'll drop back and drop really far. And I will show you on this, there's a very real possibility, like when you get into, like if you've done something like I did here, I'm trapped right now. I cannot get out of here. I'm trapped in here. I can't unstuck myself. I can't go sideways. I can't go up. I can't dash. Trying to dash. I'm just freaking stuck. And so what I have to do is demolish a piece, and now I'm unstuck. Like so there's that kind of stuff that's going on, and that's just, that's in a piece of building. I can't use that exactly the way I wanted. Not the worst thing in the world. And you fall off a cliff sometimes. I've killed myself in that process, and I found myself walking through entrances to caves and in combat and stuck kind of halfway in the ceiling of the door trying to fight something, and I had to, I'm just kind of flailing about trying to shoot it with whatever's nearby because it's on me and shooting me. So there's that kind of stuff that's happening throughout the game. That's not huge as far as I'm concerned in a beta, but I think if they don't, that's one of those things that over time, if they resolve it, it'll resolve well. I don't have any concerns or worries about that. So I'd give that one, I'm going to say that technical and artistic delivery is a 2, maybe 2.25 at best, but I'm going to call it a 2. And then that leaves me with my Kineer point, that, and the Kineer point, I can give them 0. I could give them a full 1. I've had cases where I take away points if I think, even if the other 3 are strong, I could take away a part of a point. But I would, just in general, because I like this game so much. I enjoyed playing it. I'm going to regret the fact that the beta is going to be over and look forward to it launching. But I'd give them the full point at this point because it's a beta, and I'm kind of giving them credit for the fact that it's a beta and there's some things coming together. But I'm not really clear how much of the stuff that was missing was literally disabled just because they needed an edge around the beta. They needed limits. They weren't going to give you the whole game. Or that it's not done, or it's not complete, or they haven't fixed it. So it's a little difficult to figure out exactly what's going on there. So I think if you add them all up, you end up with around a 7, and then you add my 1 onto it. This game is easily an 8 out of 10, in my view, as a beta. As a beta release, part of the game, 8 out of 10. I think that gives it plenty of room on the top end, where it can be, it'll improve over time. I have no doubt about it. Oh, there's the Sardaukar ships in the distance. We didn't have any worm attacks or anything crazy going on here, but overall, I'm really excited about the release of the game. I'm looking forward to see what they do over the next month. And when this thing opens up and you can go as far as you want to go, that'll be pretty exciting and interesting. And I look forward to making more content. If you have any questions about the game, or the 30-something hours I played into it, or if there's something you want to know if I did something in the game, just drop me a comment below. Just let me know what you're curious about, because I'm probably going to go back through and try to index some of my live streams, although there's a lot of content to get indexed. But I'll try to put the highlights in there. So there's already a highlight in there when I met Shai Hulud and I died. And that was actually really cool. So with that, this is Kineer, and I'm out of here. Thanks for checking out the video, and I hope to see you on another one.